Hello everybody, this is Furniture Bob here. Welcome back to another NASCAR related video. And today is going to be my opinion, while the iPad is being sausage, on each and every single Throwback Series paint scheme for the 2017 Darlington Throwback Weekend. So I have a website pulled up here on my Xbox One, which shows each and every single Throwback paint scheme going into this year. And well, hopefully it's every single paint scheme. If I'm missing on a few, then I just point them out and I can give my thoughts on them eventually later on. But yeah, I have it pulled up on my Xbox One so I can actually see them and do this at the same time. I've got my iPad Air, which is still down, but at least I have something that I can look off of. If I didn't have this Xbox One, I would be stuck dead, and it would make my job a lot harder. But thankfully, I have an Xbox One that does this kind of stuff, which makes my job a million times easier. So anyways, let's get to it. So first off, we have Brad Keselowski's Team Penske Ford Fusion, which is a throwback to Rusty Wallace's car in the 1991 season, which looks pretty cool. I quite like it. With the yellow and black, it looks pretty cool, and definitely is a good representation of Rusty Wallace's paint scheme that I drove back in the day. Pretty cool there. So next we have Austin Dillon's number 3 Chevrolet SS, which is one of two drivers honoring Dale Earnhardt's Wrangler paint scheme that he drove to victory lane 30 years ago at Darlington. So Dillon will pilot number 3 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet Born with the iconic yellow and blue scheme. Obviously, I'm reading this off of the Xbox One. I'm not doing this off of memory because we all know that I have a terrible memory by now. But thankfully, there is some words there to describe what the paint scheme is all about. If you want me to link me to this website, then I could do that. So there's that. Austin Dillon looks pretty cool. Definitely a pretty good representation of Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s Wrangler paint scheme. Looks pretty cool. Up next, we have Kevin Harvick's Busch Beer paint scheme, which looks very much like it did last year. So, it's not really that different. It looks pretty cool, but not really as original as it could be. I mean, I guess it's okay, considering it looks retro-y and it's Busch Beer, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's an okay paint scheme, but same as last year, so not really too much more original, I guess. Next, we get Casey Kane's Great Clips paint scheme, which honors Jeff Bodine, as he drove the 5-car back in the day with that paint scheme. And this Great Clips paint scheme definitely looks a lot better than the one that did last year. Like last year's paint scheme that Casey Kane drove looked kind of boring, because it didn't have too many vinyls, and it was a bit boring and generic, and it was just an ugly red color, and I didn't really like it. This one is a big improvement, because it actually has some vinyls, and it actually looks pretty good, with the red, brown, and white. Red, brown, and white. I mean, yellow, brown, and white. Looks pretty cool, gotta say. Honoring Jeff Bodine as he drove for Rick Hendrick back from 1984 to 1989. Tallying 7 wins. Interesting. 4 of those came in the yellow painted car. Interesting indeed. Next, we have Trevor Bayne's Avocare, which honors former Roush Racing driver Mark Martin, and this paint scheme was driven by Mark Martin 1980 and 1989. And yeah, this paint scheme looks pretty bland, I gotta say. Not really too much going for this paint scheme. I mean, it has the classic looking number yellow 6, but other than that, it's just a plain boring blue car with the Avocare logos. I mean, honestly, I would have liked to see Mark Martin's Valvoline paint scheme back again. I mean, last year's paint scheme that Trevor Bayne drove to honor Mark Martin. That last year's paint scheme, it wouldn't have been so original if it came into this year, but it still would have been better than it was just a boring blue car. I'm sorry, but this paint scheme is boring. Moving on. Up next, we have Danica Patrick's honoring Robert Yates Racing, and the number 88 Dale Jarrett drove in the Monster Energy Series Championship in 1999. Interesting paint scheme right here. It's American. Honestly, this one's a little bit generic, but it's okay for the most part, I guess. Next one's Denny Hamlin. Paint scheme is, Denny Hamlin's throwback paint scheme is the Flying 11, which was inspired by Ray Hendrick and Hamlin's short track roots. Hendrick was known as Mr. Modified for scoring over 700 short track victories. He also made starts in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as well as the Monster Energy Cup Series, earning a combined top 5 finishes. Does that go for, Ray Hendrick? I guess he was a NASCAR driver for a lot back in the day. And so Denny Hamlin is honoring that paint scheme. Pretty cool looking paint scheme. The 11 is interesting. I mean, I would say the 11 is kind of generic looking, but it does replicate it from the modified, or that looks like a legend car, I guess. And overall, it's a half decent paint scheme. And yeah. Up next, we have Ty Dillon's Geico paint scheme, and it looks exactly the same as last year's paint scheme. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Germain Racing, they couldn't really. I guess they couldn't really come up with the original idea for this year's throwback, so they just went with the same paint scheme that they had last year. And it's an okay looking paint scheme, but still could have been a bit more original. Could have come up with something else, but I guess it's all right. I guess. So we'd like to see some more originality. Up next, we have Clint Boyer's Carolina paint scheme, which will honor Mark Martin. And yeah, not really too much going for this paint scheme. I guess it's okay, but again, this paint scheme kind of looks slightly more generic, kind of. I mean, I guess it's alright, for the most part. Up next, we have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. There's actually a fairly interesting looking paint scheme. This one will honor Darrell Waltrip, with a throwback paint scheme. Considered a personal favorite of Stenhouse's, Waltrip drove a number 17 1997 with this design. Now, this design actually looks pretty cool, although with the screenshot, I kind of wish they would have shown what Darrell Waltrip actually drove back in the day. But I guess this paint scheme is pretty cool, actually. Definitely one of the better paint schemes. Definitely one of the better throwback paint schemes this year, I suppose. Next, we have Ryan Blaney's Motorcraft paint scheme. Now, this paint scheme actually looks pretty darn good. Kyle Petty drove this historic Wood Brothers Racing car team from 1985 to 1988, and did other stuff. So now Ryan Blaney shall honor this paint scheme, and this paint scheme, again, this is one of the better paint schemes, the throwback paint scheme. Like, this paint scheme might actually be one of my favorites. I quite like it, actually. Yeah, I like it. Up next, we have Joey Logano's Shell Pennzoil paint scheme, which is apparently off of an IndyCar. Let's see, honors Jimmy Vesser IndyCar scheme when Logano drives in Darlington. I guess it's honor them. I guess they honor Mr. Jimmy Vesser, although he wasn't really a NASCAR driver. He was more of an IndyCar driver. I say that I actually don't know. I actually have never even heard of Jimmy Vesser until now. I guess it's an alright paint scheme. Nothing too, I guess it looks retro style, but nothing crazy. But overall, it's okay. Next, we have Corey LaJoie's Dr. Pepper paint scheme, which is honoring the Miller Lite paint scheme of Dave Ellison's Xfinity Series ride with the car, Dr. Pepper. He drove for Miller Lite, but Corey LaJoie's driving for Dr. Pepper, and this paint scheme, it kind of reminds me of last year's paint scheme that David Reagan drove, and this paint scheme, it's alright, I guess. It's nothing fancy, but, I guess it does do a good job of representation. Dave Allison's Xfinity car, although, again, it's not really anything extreme, but it's alright, I guess. Up next, we have Chase Elliott's paint scheme. This is actually a pretty good looking paint scheme right here. I mean, yeah, this paint scheme is fairly empty like the other ones, but I actually kind of like this paint scheme because it has a nice shade of blue. I really like the shade of blue on this paint scheme that Chase Elliott is driving, and he's honoring his daddy. Yay! Bill Elliott's Primer Series debut came in 1976 at Rockingham, and now more than 40 years later, his son shall takes the cue from a paint scheme. Chase Elliott will offer a tribute to his NASCAR Hall of Fame father with his powder blue number 24 Chevrolet Premier Motorsports. Now, this paint scheme is also fairly simple, but I actually like this paint scheme because of the shade of blue. Like, it has a nice shade of blue to it, and it makes up for the simplistic design that is this paint scheme. So, I like it. Anyways, moving on to Brian Newman's car, which is almost the same paint scheme as Austin Dillon's, although slightly different, obviously different number, different sponsor, but same silver style paint scheme. I guess the points that I made about Austin Dillon's paint scheme can apply here. It's a nice paint scheme. It does do the throwbackness pretty nicely, and not much more to say there. Matt DiBenedetto driving a pretty stylish looking Corvette parts paint scheme honoring Bobby Ellison's Daytona winning car when NASCAR Throwbacks take it to Darlington. Yeah, Matt DiBenedetto, number 32, will follow the lead of Bobby Ellison's Daytona winning car. There's also a pretty good looking car, even though it says a simple design. It has a nice shade of brown, I guess. And it definitely looks retro-y, although the number's pretty interesting, though. Yeah, but overall, it's pretty good for the most part, I guess. Next, we have Lancaster Love's car, and I think this is the same paint scheme I drove last year. I'm not entirely sure, because it looks fairly similar to last year's paint scheme. It's a fairly simple paint scheme for the most part. Just has 4 different light dancers and stuff, and I guess it's okay. You know, nothing crazy, but it'll do, I guess. Next, we have Chris Buescher's Cheerios thingy paint scheme that's honoring Petty Moist, as he ran his design in what is now the Xfinity Series during the 1988 season, earning a 27th place finish at Darlington Raceway. This is a pretty simple paint scheme as well, but also looks pretty interesting at the same time. Oh dear, other than that, I don't really have that much to say for the paint scheme. It's a simple design. It's nice, I guess. Nothing crazy, but nothing too sausagey either. I don't know. I guess it's okay, I guess. It's okay. Next, we have David Reagan's Good Sam car, which looks kind of generic. The sponsors on David Reagan's number 38 Front Row Sports Ford also played a part in his throwback paint scheme as the Camping World truck, as Camping World. A Good Sam chose to look from their early days in business. Okay. Guess they had the early days. Obviously, they changed the colors, but now they brought back their old colors to for David Reagan. So I guess it's an okay paint scheme again. Nothing crazy, pretty simplistic to be honest, but it's okay. It's okay. Next, Eric Almirola. Honoring Richard Petty, of course he is. This is a paint scheme that I actually like. It's a pretty good looking paint scheme. Not as cool as last year's paint scheme, but this paint scheme still looks pretty darn good and does honor Richard Petty, and it's actually honoring the car that Richard Petty drove to his 200th win, which came at Daytona International Speedway on the number 3043 Richard Petty's Ford. Yeah, so pretty interesting looking paint scheme, and I like it. Yeah, pretty good. Yay. Up next, we have AJ Allmendinger driving a paint scheme that honors Hall of Famer Terry Labonte, 2-time champion and 2-time Darlington winner. So it's pretty good looking paint scheme for the most part. It's not too much different from the usual paint scheme that AJ Allmendinger drives, but looks pretty cool. The number 47 looks pretty cool. Let's see, there's a few sponsors on the car that look a little bit ugly on it, but overall it's a pretty good paint scheme for the most part. I like it. Next we have Jimmy Johnson's number 48 Lowe's paint scheme, and wow, that's a really stylish looking paint scheme. Definitely looks curvy and interesting and retro-y and classic and stuff. And it's inspired by a Lowe's delivery truck from 1986. Cool. And yes, I know that I said Lowe's. That's how Lowe's is actually pronounced in my country. So I say Lowe's instead of Lowe's. Apparently Lowe's is supposed to be how you do say it, but I say it Lowe's because, again, like I said before, that's how we say it in my country. Which is Lawline, by the way. But yeah, overall, pretty good looking paint scheme for the most part. Now we'll move on to Derek Hope's paint scheme. Yeah, a driver who drives for Premium Motorsports, the worst, or well, not the worst, the lowest end team in NASCAR. And it's actually a pretty good looking paint scheme. I like the rainbow looking paint scheme. Yeah, Derek Hope was the original driver of the 1994 main and tail number 12 car owned by Bobby Townsend Motorsports, so here. And now he'll be the only driver to drive his own throwback with the original color scheme when he drives the number 55 at Premium Sports in Darlington. Yeah, so he's honoring himself. I like it. Overall, it's a pretty cool paint scheme. That's a sponsor? Interesting. Guess they got the sponsor back for this race. You know, Premium Motorsports usually drives unsponsored cars, but they're changing that up this week. Eric Jones driving a interesting looking 5-hour energy paint scheme. Apparently will honor the great looking rookie classes from the 1984-89 period with a collection of photos on the number 77 Toyota. Yeah, I guess they couldn't really come up with too much of an original design, so I guess they went with statistics instead for rookies, considering that Eric Jones is a rookie at the moment. So overall, it's a pretty cool paint scheme, and you know, not really the most original paint scheme ever, but it's cool. I like it. And next we have Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is honoring his very own daddy. That'd be Dale Sr. And so basically Dale Jr. is driving Dale Sr.'s Um, his something car that I don't say. But yeah, Dale Jr. drove this paint scheme in the 1998 and 1999 in the Xfinity Series, winning a combined 13 races in the championship both seasons. Dale Jr. will drive the number. Oh, he resembles his former car. Ah, I see. Yeah, I thought at first that Dale Jr. was driving a paint scheme to honor his daddy, but I guess he's actually driving a paint scheme to honor his his car that he drove in the Xfinity Series in the 1990s. Yeah, pretty cool. I was expecting him to honor his daddy, but I guess he's not really too interested in doing that now. But this paint scheme looks pretty good for the most part, and I'll definitely be looking out for it. And now we have Michael McDowell with the number 95 WRL paint scheme, which is honestly fairly generic. It looks like a bumblebee, but at the same time it's not really a bumblebee, but it's fairly generic, I guess. Alan Kulwicki drove this paint scheme during his rookie season of 1986, finishing with one top 10 finish and a bunch of other stuff. So now Michael McDowell will be honoring him. Yay, yeah, even though it's a fairly generic looking paint scheme, I mean, it's not bad, but it's just not really that original. And, oh my goodness, he just zoomed right in. Okay, Xbox, don't do that, thank you very much. Okay, and I move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Thoughts, I guess. I wasn't originally going to do my thoughts on the Xfinity Series paint schemes, but seeing as they are showing off those as well in this gallery thing, I guess I'll have to do my thoughts on those as well. Yay! Even though I probably won't be watching the Xfinity Series race, but I guess I'll just take a look over it. So first off, we start off with Cole Custer's numbers 00 Ford Mustang with Hoss Automation, and yeah, apparently it's honoring Sam Ard that won 2 titles in the Xfinity Series and won 22 races over a 3-year stretch from 1982 to 1984. So now Cole Custer's honoring him, and this is I guess it's an okay-looking paint scheme considering that it's basically a representation of the paint scheme that Sam Ard drove back in the day, and I guess it's an okay paint scheme, but it's not really too amazing considering that it has little to no vinyls on it, I guess. But I guess it's okay for the most part. Up next we have Michael Annett paint scheme. Michael Annett's paint scheme, and this actually looks pretty cool. Number 5, honoring Brad Doty, who was a sprint car driver and a friend of Michael Annett's father. Let's see, in 1988, accident left him paralyzed. Michael Annett honors Doty with his number 5 Junior Motorsports Chevy. Pretty cool paint scheme, I must say. Yeah, pretty cool indeed. I like it. Nice. Yeah, not really much else to say, so we'll just move on then. Ooh, William Byron driving a pretty cool number 9 Liberty paint scheme, and Ricky Hendrick drove the number 17 in the NASCAR World Truck Series during the 2001 season. That year he won at Kansas. William Byron will honor the late Hendrick's paint scheme in the number 9 Junior Motorsports car, which is interesting indeed. Kind of wish they would have shown a paint scheme of maybe the classic version of this car. Where's my cursor gone? For some reason my cursor isn't there anymore. That's weird. But yeah, overall good looking paint scheme, I say. Definitely some creativity going on, I see. What in the world? Okay, that's weird. My controller just shut itself off for a moment. There's my cursor again. Hello, yay. But yeah, pretty good looking paint scheme. Anyways, next we have Ryan Reed. Ooh, this is a pretty interesting looking paint scheme. NASCAR artist Sam Bass designed this scheme for Ryan Reed, who grew up idolizing Alan Kulwicki, who the look of the number 16 Ford will honor the one Kulwicki drove in 1989, when he captured 6 poles and 9 top 10 finishes. Interesting. Yeah, this is a pretty stylish looking paint scheme, and 16 looks classic-y, and the paint scheme stuff looks classic-y, and yeah, obviously back in the day, Thingy drove the Xerox paint scheme. Now Ryan Reed is driving for a bunch of different sponsors, I guess. So overall, pretty good look, pretty cool paint scheme, I gotta say. And I like it. Yay. Up next, we have Denny Hamlin's. Okay, Denny Hamlin's car. Oh dear. Denny Hamlin is gonna be driving in the Xfinity Series race. Oh dear, and Denny Hamlin is driving almost the same paint scheme that he'll be driving in the Cup Series, and or except with a few less vinyls on this paint scheme. Yeah, it's pretty bland, I gotta say. I think the worst part is that we have Denny Hamlin racing in the darn Xfinity Series. Oh, for goodness sake! And they don't even have a description for this paint scheme. They just have nothing to say about this paint scheme. I guess I guess since Denny Hamlin is a Cup driver running in the Xfinity Series, they're just not even bothering to write a description for this paint scheme. They're just like, hey, paint scheme for Denny Hamlin, I guess. But yeah, overall, pretty bland paint scheme. But Denny Hamlin shouldn't be running in the Xfinity Series anyways. Moving on. Up next, we have Matt Tifft paint scheme, and there's actually a pretty good-looking paint scheme right here. This is actually all I'd say. Matt Tifft will pay tribute to this Dale Earnhardt number 19 Winston Cup Series car from 1997 to Sausages. Earnhardt drove this Belden asphalt while Malibu in one start during the 1977 season at Charlotte Moore Speedway, just his fourth start in the Premier Series. Only 25 racing laps before technical issues ended his run. Matt Tifft will honor that paint scheme with his number 19 Ron John Surf Shop Surfaces blah 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 Peaks Cruisers Toyota. Interesting, this paint scheme is actually pretty cool. I like it. Definitely will be looking out for this paint scheme as well in the Xfinity Series race. Since of course I'm doing a live stream, which means I won't be able to watch the Xfinity Series race, which is quite likely. And okay, moving on to Eric Jones, another cool paint scheme. Except Eric Jones is another Cup driver running the Xfinity Series. But I guess it's more appropriate that Eric Jones does race in the Xfinity Series, considering that he's still just a rookie in the Cup Series, even though he got a recent pole at Bristol and a near win as well. So yeah. Oh man, I need to catch my breath because this is becoming a lot of explaining. Denny Hamlin, no, not Denny Hamlin. Eric Jones driving this paint scheme. No, Davey Allen drove this paint scheme in 1989, winning twice at Talladega and Daytona. Eric Jones will pay tribute to one of his major influences in Allison, donning these colors in his number 20 Toyota Camry at Darlington. I like it. A few vinyls messes up here and there, but overall it's a pretty half-decent looking paint scheme, I guess. Yay. Up next, Spencer Gallagher driving a car that looks stylish, but at the same time pretty generic, I gotta say. Spencer Gallagher and GMS Racing will honor Michael Waltrip's 1986 number 23 Hawaiian Punch Pontiac with the number 23 Chevrolet painted at Darlington. Yeah, it's a paint scheme. It's classic, I guess, but it doesn't really stand out. It looks kind of generic, I gotta say. I mean, it does look retro-y, but at the same time, it's big, generic, and uncreative. But, I guess it's meh, I guess. Kevin Harvick. Of course Kevin Harvick's going to be in this race. As if he just could not just... So now he's... so now Kevin Harvick will honor his sponsor, Hunt Brothers Pizza, and its early days in NASCAR to commemorate 10 years of partnership. Yeah, it's a paint scheme, and it's honestly a pretty bland-looking one, I gotta be honest. Not really much vinyls. I mean, there is some vinyls going on the bottom of the car, which looks interesting, but other than that, it's I don't know, it's okay, I guess. Nothing amazing, but it's okay, for the most part. And now we have Jeremy Clements driving the number 51 RepairableParts.com car, and it just happens to be, AJ Foyt drove this paint scheme to victory in the 1964 Firecracker 400 at Daytona International Speedway. Jeremy Clements will pay tribute to Foyt's scheme, as well as Clements' grandfather Crawford, who served as Foyt's crew chief in 1964. The other way. On his number 51 Chevrolet at Darlington. Yay, it's a paint scheme. It's pretty bland, I gotta say. Yeah, not really much going for it. But yeah, the paint schemes, so yeah, that is all 37 throwback paint schemes this year. I guess they forgot to include that Jeff Gordon Rainbow Warrior paint scheme. That's apparently a throwback paint scheme, even though, I mean, it's Jeff Gordon's Rainbow Warrior paint scheme, except it's on a Toyota. So I guess they were like, it's on a Toyota enough, this paint scheme is unacceptable, we shall not include it in the list. You shall be an underdog in this race. This is what NASCAR said, really. But yeah, overall, we got interesting paint schemes going into this year. We have some that look pretty good, and some that look pretty generic, and some that are just overall bland. But I think my favorite paint scheme this year would have to be, Eric Almirola's Richard Petty paint scheme. I mean, that's really the best looking paint scheme, for this year of throwbacks. I mean, there are some fairly good throwback paint schemes this year, but they're all kind of the other ones that are just generic and bland and boring and stuff. But, so overall, this year of Darlington throwback paint schemes, they're not really as vibrant as last year's paint schemes, but I guess they'll do. Although, I wonder how long they'll keep this throwback thing being a thing. Yeah, I wonder how long they'll keep this thing going until eventually the teams they run out of ideas for throwback paint schemes, and eventually the throwback paint scheme thing will just stop for another 20 years until we have some more classics again. Yay, yeah, I'm not really sure what they're gonna do for next year. I mean, are they gonna do a throwback paint scheme for throwback stuff for next year, or no, not at all? They're just gonna stop doing it. I don't know. I really don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this rambling session. I know that this video is very long. Yeah. If you actually managed to watch this whole entire video, tell me, what is your favorite throwback paint scheme for this 2017 throwback year? Yeah, tell me what your favorite is if you actually bothered to watch this whole thing. That's it. That's gonna be the end of this video. I shall see you in the next one. Bye-bye.